Welcome to this Basics of Sociology class. In the first class, we have seen why sociology optional will be a better choice. And in the second class, we have seen some of the basic concepts, right? So I will have to continue with the basic concepts for some time before I start with the terms connected to family, marriage, and kinship. So basic concepts. We saw about culture in the last class. Culture. One called McIver and Page told that culture is what we are, civilization is what we have. This even came in the essay paper. Culture is what we are. Civilization is what we have. McIver said this. Culture is what we are. Civilization is what we have. We are means what? We are means it is our way of life. This is our way of life. Culture is your way of life. And what we have, anything you have means which is material in character. So in this context, he says, culture is what we are means it is our lifestyle. It is our way of life. So which is mostly about our behaviors, about our norms, about the values which we practice. Every group is having a particular normal behavior. They tell that this is a normal behavior. For example, what is normal in one part of the society or what is normal at one point of time of the society will become abnormal at the another point of time in the same society. For example, patriarchy, male domination was normal before 100 years, but it becomes abnormal, a wrong thing today because old society was traditional, male dominated, but the modern society is giving importance to right to equality, which is mandated by the Constitution of India. So, what is normal at one point of time becomes abnormal at the another point of time. Okay, so we see that the normal behavior, the values we practice, all these things are not material things. They are non-material. They are non-material. What do you mean by non-material? Non-material means they are not talking about the things, material things. Okay. But civilization, according to McIver, is what we have. We have means something concretely you have. For example, the bow and arrow you have. For example, the plow you have. So, civilization is about material culture. And culture is about non-material. Culture is non-material. Civilization is material. Okay. Civilization means, for example, Harappan civilization. Indus Valley civilization you call. In Indus Valley civilization, you are studying what? Some images, some scriptures, the Great Wall, the burial place, the city planning, the drainage system. All these things are material or non-material? Material they are. They are material, no? Okay, you find the inscription, the female deities when you go for excavation in the Indus Valley civilization. So when you speak about civilization, you are speaking about certain material things. Through excavations, they are taking out the material things only, no. So civilization is connected to material things, whereas culture is connected to non-material. Non-material means what? Ideas. What is normal? It is an idea. You say that this is normal. This is not normal. So the concept of normal, not normal or abnormal, they are ideas. Okay. Values are what? Ideas. For example, value of equality. Value of equality. Equality is a value. Okay. Value means what? Certain things which are shared by all. They are like goals. Last class only we discussed about norms, values, folkways. So culture is about material things, non-material things. They are mainly ideas. They are mind-centric. They are in the mind. But civilization is a material thing, an object. Okay, which you explore during the excavate in the Harappan system or in the Mohenjo-daro system, Indus Valley system or civilization. But contradicting to this concept that culture is only idea, it's a mental thing, and civilization is a material thing, contradicting to that idea, one scholar, his name is Ogburn. He says culture itself is having two aspects. There are two sides of the culture. One is material culture. Another is non-material culture. So the non-material culture is culture for MacIver. Material culture is called civilization. MacIver says this is civilization. But Ogburn says no. I don't call it as civilization. I call it as only material culture. He says the material culture changes very fastly. The material culture changes fastly, whereas the non-material culture changes very slowly. Slowly it is changing, fastly it is changing. Okay, slowly it is changing, fastly it is changing. Material things will change very fastly. For example, you will wear Western outfits. You will change over from the traditional outfit to Western outfit. But wearing the Western outfit, you are going to temple. Wearing the Western outfit, you are going to astrologer to see your horoscope so that you come to know whether you will become IAS officer or not. Which means that your mindset is not changing. Your material things are changing. That is, your dress is changing, material things. But non-material, that is your ideas, your mindset, it is not changing. Right? So definitely this will change fastly, this will not change. In fact, I'll give you an example. Technology came. Technology came. And with the coming of technology, religion is becoming stronger or weaker? Religion is becoming stronger or weaker after coming of technology? It becomes stronger. For example, in your screensaver, in your cell phone, what you are having, most of the people are having God's photo, God's images. And daily you are getting in the WhatsApp group, the first message you see is the message of or the photo of your God with some sort of slogam. So bhakti messages are coming. Using cell phone, first thing which your mother is doing in the morning is she is putting a devotional song and she is starting the day. So with the help of cell phone, which is a technology, your religiosity increases. Okay, so religion is not being killed by technology. After coming of technology, you have digitalized Mahabharata, digital version of Ramayana. And you have live relay of Tirupati Darshan. You are booking through online to have a darshan in Tirupati. All these things are telling about your mind is not changing, but your technology is changing. The material things are changing fastly, the non-material things are not changing fastly. So when something is changing fastly, something is not changing fastly, something is slow, something is fast, what happens? There will be a conflict. So this fast change of the material culture and the slow change of the non-material culture results in cultural lag. Material culture is changing fastly, non-material culture is changing slowly. So this is called as cultural lag. And when there is a cultural lag, there will be a conflict. When there is a cultural lag, there will be a conflict. The Taliban's ruling Afghanistan, they are using sophisticated technology, weapon system. And they are ruling now Afghanistan, they are imposing a strict restriction on women. Women should not go to employment unless and until her economic condition is bad, she should not go for a job. Separate school for girls, separate school for boys. So they are using technology, sophisticated weapons to bring a religious rule. So material culture is technology, that is fastly changing. But using technology, they are bringing religious rule. Religious rule is culture, non-material. So non-material is changing very slowly. Material things are changing very fastly. And there is a lag between these two things. And this is what is called as cultural lag. And cultural lag results in conflict. Anything which is inconsistent, two people are there, they are always lagging or they are inconsistent. For example, there is one husband, there is one wife. They always have some sort of conflict. So if he is thinking one thing, she is thinking another thing, there will be a conflict. If both are going in the same wavelength, no conflict. If the wavelength is not matching, it is a lag. It's a lag, and the lag leads to what? Conflict. So conflict is what is the outcome of cultural lag. You have to associate this augment with that of cultural lag. You know that this was asked in the previous year question paper in sociology. It was a 10-marker question. Nowhere explicitly mentioned in the syllabus. When this question was asked, some students were not able to answer the question because they don't know the basics. The purpose of taking the sociology basics class is to tell you that there are certain topics which will come which is not there explicitly given in the syllabus, expressly given in the syllabus. But if you know the basics of sociology, these questions are very easy for you. Okay. So this is cultural lag. Sumner, William Graham Sumner, has written a book, Folkways. This already we have talked about in the previous class. Folkways in 1906. And he spoke about what? Ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism was again a previous year question where you don't have the verbatim of this in the syllabus. 2 years back, ethnocentrism was asked. It is not there in the syllabus. So try to understand that this basic class is going to give you so many, dimensions of the PYQs. Cultural lag was asked. Those who know the basics, they'll answer. Ethnocentrism was asked. Those who know the basics, they can answer. These topics are not there in the syllabus. But as a student of sociology, you are supposed to do this, know this, because these are basics. They are like the building blocks of sociology. Okay. So this is the advantage you are going to get by attending this class, Basics of Sociology. Okay. Now, what is ethnocentrism? You say that Sony TV is the best TV. Why? Because this is there in your house. Since it is there in your house, you say Sony is the best TV. Some people used to tell, My mother will make very nice food, as if other mothers are making horrible foods. So we think that we are only best. So the concept says that you evaluate, other cultures using your culture as the yardstick. You evaluate other culture using your culture as yardstick. Take for example, a North Indian will go to South Indian will go to North India, and he will tell to the North Indian, you people are eating only chapati, but we are eating idli, dosa, and we have so many varieties of idlis, we have so many varieties of dosa. Idli is the best, dosa is the best. This is what? Ethnocentrism. You think that your food is best than the other food. And you are going to China and you tell these people, Chinese people, you people are eating snakes. So you are very bad people. See, we eat only vegetarian food. So we are very clean people. You eat non-vegetarian food. You are bad people. We are eating vegetarian food. You are eating beef. So beef eaters are bad. They are anti-nationals. They are anti-Indian. They should be thrown to Pakistan. If you tell like this, then you are who? Ethnocentrism. You use your culture as the reference point, evaluate others' culture, and judge that others are inferior, you are superior. Others are inferior, you are superior. Cow may be God for you, but cow is food for some other people. If you say, this is my God, you should not kill it, you are ethnocentric. And you know something? Every person is ethnocentric. We think that we are great. We always compare ourselves with others. We compare others using our culture as the reference point, and finally decide that others are inferior, we are superior. Okay, so Maruti car is the best car because my father is owning. Tamil Nadu is the best state because I am living. These are not correct. So ethnocentrism is the reason for communalism. Communalism means what? Conflict between Hindus and Muslims. Communal conflict. Muslims say that they are superior. Hindus say that they are superior. Now fight happens. Hindus say that Ram is great. Muslims say that Allah is great. So this is leading to what? Conflict. And this was the question asked in the previous year. How ethnocentrism is connected to communalism was a question asked in the previous year. PYQ. Okay. Folk way we have told. The ways of the folk. Through trial and error you do something. Through trial and error only. What is folk way? Through trial and error only, you come to know that something works for you. Through trial and error only, you came to know that something is working for your group. So you do certain things in a particular way because it works for you. That ways of the folk means people, group. Ways of the folk is called as folk. So you did by trial and error and you found that eating idli is working for you in South India. And one in North India, they by trial and error found that chapati is working for them. So how you eat idli? With your hand. how a person who is in China is eating noodles through some stick. So he can use the stick and eat very fastly noodles, but you can't use that stick and eat noodles fastly. That stick thing is working for him through trial and error. His group has got accustomed to use stick to lift the noodle and eat. But if you take the stick and lift the noodle, it will fall. You have to take it like this and put it in your mouth. And this works for you. Taking and putting into your mouth will work for you. It will not work for a Chinese. So through trial and error, you come to know that this is working for you, and as a group, you have found that this thing works for our group. So that is what is called as folkway. Eating 3 times a day is a folkway. Wearing a particular type of dress, folkway. Okay. So ethnocentrism, opposite to ethnocentrism, there is a concept called as xenocentrism. It is opposite of ethnocentrism. It is an opposite of ethnocentrism. That is called as xenocentrism. Xeno means foreigner. So, totally opposite. You think others are superior and you are inferior. Your culture is inferior. Other culture is superior, your culture is inferior. That is called as xenocentrism. And this is totally opposite to ethnocentrism. Your culture is superior. Other culture is inferior. You should be like a foreigner who is punctual. Be punctual like a foreigner. Be punctual like a British. Be loyal to the company like a Japanese. Like that, we always tell that other people are superior than you. So if you say others are superior and you are inferior, other culture is superior, your culture is inferior, it is xenocentrism. Opposite is ethnocentrism. Your culture is superior, other culture is inferior, that is called as ethnocentrism. So xenocentrism versus ethnocentrism. Okay. Now, what happens when two different cultural groups interact? What happens when two different cultural groups or cultures interact? So this is A culture and this is B culture. This is A culture and this is B culture. A culture and B culture. Both are interacting. So this is the point of meeting. They interact. Now what are the processes, cultural processes which will unfold? So here, unfolding of socio-cultural processes. Unfolding of socio-cultural processes. When two different cultures interact, like A and B, unfolding of socio-cultural processes happen. So there are certain processes which will happen. What are these socio-cultural processes? The socio-cultural processes are, number one, associative processes. Number two, dissociative processes. So the processes can be of two types. One is associative, means what? Both groups will be able to easily gel with each other. They will gel with each other. They will be very much harmonious with each other. Dissociative process means there is some sort of problems. So when two groups are meeting, either they will love each other or they will hate each other. Either they will become friends or they become enemies. So associative means they are becoming friends. Dissociative means they are becoming enemies. Now, what are the associative processes and what are the dissociative processes? Associative processes. Associative processes involves these processes. Number one, acculturation. Number two, assimilation. Number three, integration. Number four, accommodation. These are the associative processes. When two groups are meeting, they become friends. Through four processes, they can become friends. The first process is acculturation. The second process is assimilation. The third process is integration. And the fourth process is accommodation. Okay, let us see one by one. Let us first take up this case of acculturation. Let us take up this acculturation. Two groups are there, A group, A culture and B culture. So for example, this is British people, British, and this is Indians. What happens when British rule was there in India for hundreds of years? We took from British gave to us many things. What and all they gave to us? Constitutional government, parliamentary democracy, okay, law court, civil services, Western education, that is technical education, tea, suit, dress, shoe, and even liquor, alcohol. Because there were some sociological studies which say that even Brahmins who were working under the British rule, under the British government, they used to take liquor. Brahmins will not take liquor before. But since they joined the British services, they were drinking what the British people were drinking. Okay. So they gave to us many things. In return, we gave to them something. Okay. So for example, they came to know from Indians the Indian food. And say practices like yoga. So this type of exchange is what? Many things British has given to India and few things Indians have given to British. So this is unequal exchange of culture. Instead of unequal, we are using a term asymmetrical. Instead of unequal, we are using a term asymmetrical exchange of culture. When these two groups are unequally exchanging, one group giving more, one group giving back less, this is called as acculturation. Have you understood this? Giving, one group is giving more than the other group, it is uneven exchange of culture. This is what is called as acculturation. Assimilation means an Indian going to US for job. Now he settles down. He settles down in US. And he is born, or his children are born there. He got married in US. So completely Indian will become an American. Indian fully practices US culture. He forgot his idli, dosa, chapati. He forgot his local deity. He forgot his grandfather, grandmother. He forgot his village. Completely, he has turned like an American. He has turned into an American. So, you have totally fused into the other culture. You have totally fused, merged. You have totally merged into the new culture, which is a host culture. You can say it is a host culture. Because you are going to US like a host. You are going to US, which is the host. US is the host and you are the guest. The guest has become the host, which means you go to America, you speak in English, you marry an American, and children born there are registered as American citizens and they study there. You are completely forgetting your Indian identity. You have completely become an American. This is what is called as assimilation. Your cultures merging into the another culture. Completely it is getting fused into the other culture. So there is another form called as integration. Integration means what? Parts are interconnected, but every part can maintain its individuality. Best example is India. We created ourselves as a nation which consists of many groups, many cultural groups. Tamilians, Malayalis, Bhojpuris, Oriya, Maratha, Gujarati. So many cultural groups came together and they call themselves as Indians. Though you are coming together and call yourself as Indian, you can speak in your own language, you can practice your own culture. So you have your own culture. You can practice your own culture. For example, in the Constitution of India, in the eighth schedule, you have originally 18 languages. Today it is 22 languages. So each group will have their language as the official language. Though we have a right to practice our own culture, we are coming under one single umbrella called India. So coming together is not resulting in losing my identity. My cultural identity is not lost. Constitution has promised that. You people can speak in multiple languages. You may reside in many places. You may practice different food, different dresses, different cultures, different religions. But at the same time, we are all one. So by being one, you are not losing your identity. That is why Article 29 in the Indian Constitution gives right to culture as a fundamental right. You have right to culture as a fundamental right. You can conserve your culture. You can conserve your script, your language, which is a fundamental right. So this is a promise given by Constitution that let us all become one. But because we are one, we will not force anything on anyone. You do your thing, I will do my thing, but we are all one. So India's nation is not based on assimilation. Assimilation means what? You should lose your culture to take up another culture. India's nation is based on integration, that we are one for common purpose. There is a common purpose for which we have come together. But each of us can retain our own cultural identity. I can eat my food, I can wear my dress, I can speak my language, I can practice my religion, I can do my own occupation, no problem. So assimilation is completely you lose your identity to embrace a new identity. But integration is that you are getting a new identity but not losing your own identity. Our nationalism is based on integration, not based on assimilation. That is why 22 languages are recognized by the Constitution. That is why secularism is giving right to practice religion for all religious communities. Equality is for all, Article 14. I'm Muslim, I'm Hindu, I'm this thing, I'm that thing. No, no, no. All are equal before law. So integration is our nation. Assimilation is America. How America was created as a nation? People coming to America, they have come from many parts of the world. They settled down in America. They created a culture for their own. So a British person will have to lose his British culture to take up American culture. A Frenchman, a German, an Italian, all people coming to America should lose their culture and take up American culture. But we are what? We are a nation having multiple cultures. So that is why we practice multiculturalism. Multiple cultures will be coexisting, and this will be called India. Next is accommodation. Some sort of adjustment. Accommodation is some sort of adjustment. So these two groups A and B will adjust. They will make some adjustment. For example, ceasefire agreement. Two warring parties, parties who are fighting, they have entered into a ceasefire agreement as accommodation. Accommodation tells you that conflict is not resolved. Conflict still not resolved. But there is an working arrangement. to prevent conflict. Conflict is still there, but that conflict is not fully blowing off. It is not leading to fight between these two groups. So this is called as accommodation. You give something, they give something. So it's like adjustment, mutual adjustment. I will give to you something, I'll show some concession to you, you show concession to me. So this is what is called as accommodation, but the conflict is not resolved. What is not resolved? Conflict is not resolved. Now coming to dissociative process. One is competition. Second is conflict. One is competition, the second is conflict. Competition means it is not direct, it is indirect. It is continuous. And it is unconscious. Take for example UPSC exam. You have conflict, you don't have conflict, it is a competitive examination. Why it is called competitive examination? Do you know directly who and all are your competitors? 12 lakh people have applied for the examination. Do you know personally all the 12 lakh people who are competitors for you? So it is indirect, because you don't know who is competing with you. There are 12 lakh people who are applying for this examination, and it is continuous. Continuously, you compete, you clear the exam, new competition, new competitors will come, new entrants will be there, new aspirants will be there. So it is a continuous process. Okay, even if you pass this examination, newcomers will compete with the other people. So it is continuous, it is unconscious. Unconscious means what? You are not aware that this competition is there, right? It is not in the conscious level, it is there in the unconscious level. You are not having the consciousness always. Are you thinking 24/7 that 12 lakh people are applying for this exam, I am going to fight with 12 lakh people, 12 lakh people? No, you forget. It goes to the unconscious level. So it is indirect because you don't know the people who are competing with you, and secondly it is continuous because it keeps on happening. Even if you clear the examination, new aspirants will come, they will compete with for IAS jobs. And thirdly, what? It is unconscious because you are not aware, you don't have that consciousness always that you have to fight a battle with the 12 lakh people in this UPSC exam. Conflict is what? It is a direct and it is conscious, and this may include violence. It may become violent. So conflicting parties will know. Conflict means India versus China. Conflict over line of actual control, LAC. Conflict. You know what is the conflicting point? You know, Doklam issue. Remember, in the tri-junction of India, China, Bhutan, there is one point called as Doklam Plateau. Doklam issue. In 2013, this was a bigger conflicting territory between India and China, Doklam issue. So you know, the parties are directly conflicting, India versus China, directly they fight. You know who is your enemy, and conscious, you are aware that he will or China will occupy this territory, and it may include violence also. That during the Corona time, Indian soldiers and Chinese soldiers were fighting along the borderline, and Indians were killed by the Chinese. In return, Chinese soldiers were killed by Indians. Some 20 Indian Jawans sacrificed their life in this fight, though the fight was not with arms. Why? Because this arm should not be used along the border. We have a what? Agreement. Agreement means what? Accommodation. So accommodation is, we will not use heavy weapons along the border. I will not use weapon. You should not use weapon. I am China. You are India. We are in the border. So since the weapons are not allowed to be used in that line of control, line of actual control, what they were doing, they both sides were taking some stones, which stones, some fencing wires, which they have bought for fencing the border. So with that material, they fought with each other, they attacked with each other, and in the process, some 20 were killed from that side, 20 got killed from this side. So conflict is direct, conflict is violent, and conflict is very conscious. These are dissociative processes. So in today's class, what and all we have seen culture versus civilization. We have seen non-material culture versus material culture. We have seen cultural lag. We have seen leading to conflict. We have seen ethnocentrism, Sumner, xenocentrism, and when two cultural groups are meeting, there are two types of processes which may unfold: associative, dissociative. Four types of associative process. One is acculturation, two is assimilation, three is integration, fourth is accommodation. And dissociative process, two processes. One is cooperation, one is competition, another is conflict. So there is another associative processes just we have left over. Acculturation, assimilation, integration, fifthly cooperation. Cooperation means two groups are cooperating because they have common goal. For common goals, two groups will be cooperating with each other. Common goal. That is called cooperation. For example, Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC. Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC. Common goal, so countries are cooperating. This is called as cooperation. So, 5 types of associative processes: acculturation, assimilation, integration, accommodation, cooperation, and 2 types of dissociative processes. One is competition, another is conflict. Right? In the next class, we'll start with few other topics. Okay, see you in the next class. Thank you.